Are you a family caregiver? Are you caregiving for someone who can no longer take care of themselves? Are you overwhelmed? This is CareGiver Solutions Info with Marcia Teele. Marcia will be hosting an hour of true stories and information, tips and updates of the latest research and necessary information in the caregiving field, focusing on you, the family caregiver. An Alzheimer's disease and dementia care expert, Marcia has 15 years of hands-on experience at Arden Courts, a leader in assisted living dementia communities here in the U.S. Marcia covers everything you need to know as a family caregiver, especially if you care for a loved one with Alzheimer's disease or other related dementia or chronic illness. If you have a friend or relative that is also a family caregiver, call them now. They won't want to miss a minute. And let them know they can watch on caregiversolutions.info. And they can listen on WNN 1470 AM in South Florida or nationally on the iHeartRadio app. Now, sit back, relax, and learn from our host, Marcia Teele, as she brings information to you that may just be the caregiving solution you need.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to CareGiver Solutions Info. It's also caregiversolutions.info for those of you that are watching us live stream on the computer. So whether you're listening on the radio or on your computer, I want to welcome you and thank you for joining us today. Today is Tuesday, August 18th, 2015. And this is a show for family caregivers, for caregivers that are not paid, that are dealing with caregiving issues. They have a loved one with some form of dementia, and they're struggling, and they need more information. And I believe that knowledge is power. The more information that you get, the better your days will be. And if we can help you lighten that burden by giving you some expert advice from the people that know, from the people that are in the field, from experts in their particular areas of expertise, to give you that little tidbit that just might make all the difference in the world. So I hope you enjoy today's show. We've been talking for the last several weeks about the 10 warning signs of Alzheimer's disease. This is a list that has been accumulated by the Alzheimer's Association. They actually have a pamphlet here called the 10 Warning Signs of Alzheimer's Disease, and we've been talking about each one week by week. This week, we are on number 10. So as a recap, let me tell you what the first 9 are, and then we'll talk about number 10. Here we go. Memory loss. Difficulty performing familiar tasks, problems with language, disorientation to time and place, poor or decreased judgment, problems with abstract thinking, misplacing things, changes in mood or behavior, changes in personality. And this week, number 10, loss of initiative. Now, loss of initiative, everybody will experience loss of initiative at some point in their lives. If people work and they're tired and they want to go home and just crash on the sofa, want to go home and enjoy a glass of wine and not do anything, that's understandable and that's normal. People that don't work, but perhaps they're very active and they have a lot of social functions and they're going night after night after night and they're doing and going, they can be tired and they can be weary and they might just want a break and not want to do anything for a while. And that's all normal. But a person that perhaps has memory loss and some of these other pointers here, you want to take note of this, because if someone is unusually not motivated, watching TV quite a bit, not wanting to do normal activities, being very passive, sleeping a whole lot more than they used to, and not wanting to join in with any functions, especially family functions that they used to like to do, that's a big warning sign. So if you are experiencing this in someone that you know or love, and you are ticking off all of these warning signs, and you have several of them, that is a sign that something may be wrong. You want to get to the doctor. You might want to get tested or have the person see a neurologist and go through the cognitive testing that's going to reveal, is something wrong? If there is, they're going to find out what it is. It may be something serious. It may be not so serious, but you don't know until you go through the testing and check it out. The sooner you know, the better off you'll be, because then you'll be able to deal with whatever it is you need to deal with. And we don't want to be like ostriches and sticking our head in the sand. That doesn't help anybody. And the sooner that you deal with your issue, the better off you'll be. So that's my mantra for today. Speaking of today, I want to share with you that every day after lunch, I have a little piece of Dove dark chocolate. And in the wrapper, when you open it up, they always have a little tidbit in there. They used to call them Dove Promises. And this part of our show is the Brain Booster section. And the Brain Booster section is some tips for you to help you either improve your memory or retain the memory that you have by learning how to do things differently, perhaps learning some new information of how you can keep that brain functioning at its best. And so today, after lunch, when I had my little Dove dark chocolate, I read the wrapper, as I always do. And today's wrapper was very interesting, and I will actually read it to you. And it says, "Be the first to hit the dance floor." Now, I love that one because I love to dance. And so today's Brain Booster actually involves two things. It involves dark chocolate, and it involves dancing. Dark chocolate is very good for us. It tastes wonderful, but it actually happens to have a lot of great value. So I did a little bit of research, and I wanted to share with you some of the wonderful things that dark chocolate can do to us and for us. First of all, you know, it's a wonderful treat. It tastes great, and it helps us be happier. It's like a comfort food. A little chocolate, can go a long way to making us feel better if we're down in the dumps. But dark chocolate is actually very nutritious. It has 11 grams of fiber. It has tons of iron, 67%. This is per 100-gram bar of dark chocolate. And also, speaking of dark chocolate, you want to make sure that you're actually getting all the benefits that you can out of dark chocolate, and that's by consuming the chocolate that has 70 to 85% of the cocoa. Milk chocolate obviously doesn't have that. The darker, the better. So look for chocolate that's 70 to 85% cocoa ingredients. You'll get 58% of the recommended daily allowance for magnesium, 89% for copper, and 98% for magnesium. And it also has plenty of other chemicals in that that, like I said, help us with our mood, make us feel better. So if anybody, says anything to you about, eating some chocolate, saying, well, I'm having my happy pill, and that's a good way to do it. Also, dark chocolate is a great source of antioxidants. Dark chocolate has a wide variety of powerful antioxidants, way more than a lot of other foods, even like blueberries, which we all know have great antioxidants too. So that's another reason, because these antioxidants are going to attack the free radicals that are in our body, trying to destroy things in us that we don't want to be destroyed. And so we need these antioxidants to help us live better and longer. Also, dark chocolate may improve blood flow and lower blood pressure. Another great reason to have our chocolate. The bottom line here says that the bioactive compounds in cocoa can improve blood flow in the arteries and cause a small but statistically significant decrease in blood pressure. How about that? Another great reason. A fourth reason, dark chocolate raises HDL, that's the good cholesterol, and protects LDL, the bad cholesterol, against oxidation. And again, dark chocolate improves important risk factors for disease. It lowers the susceptibility of the LDL to damage while increasing the good cholesterol and improving even insulin sensitivity. Number 5 reason for dark chocolate is it may lower the risk of cardiovascular disease. So, dark chocolate is good for our heart. It's good for what ails us. It's going to keep us a little bit healthier. One study revealed that eating chocolate 2 or more times per week lowered the risk of having calcified plaque in the arteries by 32%. Now, eating less frequently had no effect. So, again, these are all studies. You can do your own research. Check it out for yourself. Number 6, I like this reason too. Dark chocolate may protect your skin against the sun. Now, for someone like me, very light, fair skin, blonde hair, blue eyes, I try to avoid the sun. So by eating some chocolate, if I get out there and forget my sunscreen, I feel a little bit protected. But the flavonoids can protect against sun-induced damage. It can improve the blood flow to the skin, increase skin density, and hydration. So if you're going to go to the beach, take some chocolate, but make sure you eat it before you get to the beach or else it'll melt all over. Number 7. Last one, dark chocolate may improve brain function. Cocoa contains stimulant substances like caffeine, which may be a key reason cocoa can improve brain function in the short term. So have a square or 2 of very dark chocolate after dinner. Try to savor the moment, enjoy it, really let it melt on your tongue. Make sure you get the good stuff and enjoy that taste. And as you do it, remember, hey, I'm doing something good for me. So I always say it's good for your brain, it's good for your heart, it's good for what ails you. So, have some chocolate. And the other thing, which I love to talk about that's really good for us, is dancing. One of the best exercises that we can do to improve our brain functioning is dancing. And you say, well, why is that? Dancing is wonderful. It increases blood flow, which gets more oxygen to our brain. So first of all, it gets us up, it gets us moving. We don't want to be stagnant. We don't want to be couch potatoes. Having something like dancing doesn't feel like exercise, especially if you love to do it. But the important part of dancing is to learn new dances or learn new steps. If you've always danced all your life, then you're going to have that muscle memory and you could do it with your eyes closed. The important part with dancing is to learn new steps because that's going to challenge your brain. Your brain is going to have to learn sequences, memorization, concentrate. You're going to have to concentrate and focus, which is really, really good for your brain, especially if you're a caregiver and you have lots of things on your mind and you just are very stressed and you want to escape from all of that for a while. If you can concentrate and focus on something else that you can actually have fun doing, it's going to make you feel a little bit better for a while, and you won't have to think about all of those things you have on your mind. And it's good to put those things on the back burner, even just for a little while. One of the things that I love about certain types of dancing is that you can do it with a partner, like a square dance, or learn salsa, or learn tango. But if you're a caregiver and you don't have someone to do the dance with you, go to your local senior center, go to a community center, check out some of the fitness centers around, and see if they have line dancing. Line dancing is an awesome way to get exercise. You can become part of a social group with other people that like to do the same thing. And line dancing doesn't require a partner. So it doesn't have to be country music, which is what I like to do, but they have line dancing to all kinds of different music. And you will love it because it's challenging, it's fun, it's great exercise, you meet wonderful people. So today's Brain Booster is brought to us by Dove Candy. Who would have thought that a little piece of chocolate would give us so much great information about how to take better care of our brain? So eat a little chocolate, do a little dancing, and when we come back from our first commercial break, we're going to meet a family caregiver, a wife, whose husband has Alzheimer's disease. And she's here with us today, and she's going to tell her story. And I think you're going to love listening to her. She has a great story to tell because she's been through the trials and tribulations like many of you. We're going to talk about how she managed some of those things and get her perspective. So you don't want to miss that. So stay tuned, and we will be right back.
Arden Courts is not just a place to live, it's a place to call home. Residential living combined with quality caregiving. This is the philosophy behind Arden Courts. Communities created exclusively for individuals with Alzheimer's disease and related dementia who would benefit from a safe and structured environment. For additional information about any of the unique services Arden Courts provides, call 888-478-2410 to locate a community nearest you. Inquire about our educational seminars, resource library, or support groups, or simply feel free to ask questions you may have about Alzheimer's and related dementias. At Arden Courts, we know, we understand, and we can help because memory care is all we do. Remember, call 888-478-2410 for additional information about any of the unique services Arden Courts provides. Make First Choice your first choice for home health care. First Choice is state certified for Medicare covered services such as medical treatment and rehabilitation. Qualified healthcare professionals come to your home and work closely with your doctor to build a care plan designed to get you back on your feet as soon as possible. Founded and operated by registered nurses, First Choice Home Health is dedicated to providing exceptional home health care. Their highly skilled medical professionals have the knowledge and ability to provide patients quality care. Call First Choice Home Health at 561-296-2770. That's 561-296-2770. And tell them you want them as your first choice.
Hi, this is Marcia Teele of CareGiver Solutions Info. I'd like to tell you about Senior Home Companions. They provide care in the home for seniors by active seniors. The caregivers are mature men and women who understand the needs of seniors. Caregivers are individually matched to each client, creating a bond and a high level of comfort. A nurse registry, Senior Home Companions have been assisting seniors in Palm Beach County for 17 years. For a complimentary assessment, call Gloria at 561-347-6676 to see how a Senior Home Companion can help you.
You are listening to your host, Marcia Teele, an Alzheimer's disease and dementia care expert on CareGiverSolutions.info. If you have a question or wish to share a story, call into the show at 888-565-1470 and talk with Marcia. Now, back to CareGiver Solutions.
Hi, and welcome back. I want to thank our national sponsor, Arden Courts Memory Care Community. And Arden Courts is dedicated 100% to memory care. They have communities located all across the United States, and hopefully there's one near you where you can attend support groups, go to caregiver seminars that are free to the public, and learn more about what Arden Courts can do for you. One of the things that Arden Courts likes to do, besides educating caregivers and taking care of residents that have memory problems, is they also like to take care of the caregiver too. And one way they can do that is by offering you, the family caregiver, if you're taking care of someone at home and you're tired and you need a break and you're not sure, what tomorrow's going to bring and you just need a little bit of a rest, Arden Courts would like to offer you a free day of respite, meaning that you can bring your loved one to Arden Courts for the day and they can have a great time, and you can also have a great time doing what you need to do or what you want to do. And so it's a wonderful opportunity for both you and your loved one. You can call Arden Courts and they can let you know if your loved one is appropriate to take advantage of this free day of respite by calling 888-478-2410. And I'll say that again, 888-478-2410. Tell them you heard about the free day of respite on the CareGiver Solutions radio program, and you'd like to find out more about that and how you can take advantage of getting a little time for yourself. Now, here I have with me today in our studio a family caregiver. She's a wife. Her husband has Alzheimer's disease, and she has graciously agreed to come and tell her story for all of you that maybe feel that you're the only ones, that no one understands, that you're walking this journey alone. And so I want to welcome you. Hi, Selma.
Hello, Marcia.
Thank you for joining us today. I'm so happy that you decided to come and share your story and talk to us.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. But may I ask you a question first?
Of course.
I see this handsome ceramic owl on the table right next to the microphone. Is there any significance to this owl, or does he just happen to be here?
Well, I'm so glad you asked that question because, yes, there is significance to it. Actually, two things. Owls are known to be very wise.
Right.
And so I feel that we give wise advice to our listeners. And so he's there to remind everybody that it's wise to get information. It's wise to learn.
Right.
It's wise to listen to experts. And also the fact that he is an owl also is my special little mascot for Alzheimer's. Oh. So, Alzheimer's is my passion, as you know.
Yeah.
And so he's here, and he becomes my little mascot and to talk about Alzheimer's wherever I go. And if anybody needs to know anything about it, I'm happy to talk about it and help people. So he's here on the show with us. And, of course, his name is Al for Alzheimer's. So let's talk about your story.
Okay.
I know that your husband was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease.
Yes.
And we want to protect his privacy. So we're going to call him Johnny.
Okay.
Is that okay with you?
That's fine.
Okay. So we're going to talk about Johnny. And I'd like you to tell me briefly about Johnny. I know that, he retired and you moved to Florida. And by the way, how long have you and Johnny been married?
57 years.
Wow, 57
Long
years.
time,
Congratulations.
yes. Thank you.
That is a long time. And so tell me a little bit about who Johnny was, and then we're going to talk about how things progress. But tell me a little bit about him.
Johnny's background professionally was in finance. He was CFO for a small company. Unfortunately, a tornado came and took the roof off the factory of that company, and so they disappeared. And he was able to get several jobs after that. And at the end, he was working for the IRS until he retired, and we came to Florida.
Wow, so he had a pretty big responsibility.
Oh, yes.
And worked for the IRS, dealt with numbers and things like that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
wow. And what's his personality like? What kind of guy was he?
Very outgoing. I always admired that. He could walk into a room and go and talk to strangers like they were buddies. And I learned from watching him how to be more forthright myself and to greet people. I was very shy growing up, but I'm not anymore.
Obviously, you're not shy. You're here on the national podcast and radio, and so he did a good thing for you.
Yes, he did.
So you have children?
Yeah, we have two, a son and a daughter.
Okay, and they live down here or up north?
No, our son is in New Jersey and our daughter is in Massachusetts.
Okay, so you're kind of doing this caregiving thing by yourself without
yes.
your close family near you.
Right.
And that's not easy.
No.
Okay.
No.
So you all had a great life. I know you retired. You were doing all kinds of things. You were telling me earlier that you used to boat and dance and do all of this. So as life is going along and carefree, something happened. And tell me about the first times, because I'm sure it wasn't the very first time that made you have that aha moment, but tell me about the first times that you realized something wasn't quite right with Johnny.
It was very difficult because he would be calling our son by his younger brother's name, or he would be talking about his younger brother and he would use our son's name.
So he was mixing up the names.
Right. I knew in the conversation who he was talking about, but the exchange of the names really floored me. So that was, I think, one of the big moments. And then he would forget, very, very active, and he had a lot of positions, high positions in organizations. And he started forgetting about meetings. And somebody would call him, and usually he had a calendar with everything on it. And even though it was on the calendar, he forgot. So these were signals that something was not right.
Now, were you the only person to recognize these signals, or were there other people like in the organizations that he
No,
was a part
at
of?
the time it was me, and they didn't think too highly of he missed a meeting. Well, he missed a meeting, so they called him, and somebody picked him up, that kind of a thing, and it was not a problem.
And was he making excuses about why he missed the
He
meeting?
forgot.
Just he forgot.
He
That's what he
forgot,
would
yeah.
tell them.
Yeah.
Okay, well, everybody forgets things
Right.
now and then, right?
Right.
So it's like no big deal. We
Right.
forgot, we got busy or whatever.
Right.
But then more things started happening.
Oh yeah. And there had been an ad in the newspaper. The big headline was, "Are you forgetting things?" and whatever. And it was a neurologist who was doing research on Alzheimer's. And I thought, maybe there's something there, and maybe we should get this checked out. And I brought it to his attention, and he was not against doing it.
Oh, he wasn't?
No, not against doing it. He's always very interested in learning anything new. He's always interested in education. And so we went to our family doctor and presented the information to him, and he said, "Sounds like a good idea. Good luck with it."
Okay.
So we went, and yes, he was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. And he was asked if he would be a volunteer subject to try some of the new pharmaceutical products. And we discussed it, and we said, if he has it already, it may not be going to help him.
Right.
But if it could help our children or grandchildren, God forbid, if anybody got it, it was worthwhile doing.
So
And
he
that's-
became a subject in that trial
Right.
studies?
Right.
With,
and he did that for about 5 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Now, when Johnny was diagnosed and the doctor actually probably sat you down together
yes, yeah.
and told you together,
Right.
what was his reaction?
He was not really that surprised. I think he suspected a little bit. As a matter of fact, after the diagnosis, we had friends at the house one night, 3 or 4 couples, and we're sitting around the dining room table, and all of us, and he always used to make toasts. He's always standing up. He loves to be in front of a crowd. And he got up. He says, "I have something to say." And everybody, of course, looked up. He says, "I've been diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease."
Wow.
And my eyes, I just couldn't believe that he did that. And everybody else was just shocked. And
I
they
bet
all
their mouth dropped open.
Yes. And they all said, "No way." And one of the fellows said, "Your doctor is crazy. You don't have Alzheimer's. He maybe have Alzheimer's," this kind of thing. And no one could believe it because he's very good at masking the disease. And I found other people that we have gotten to know who also have it, who are still very social. And unless you sit with them and talk specifics, they can mask it.
That's right.
So.
That's right. That's one of the things that fool a lot of people
Yes.
is because they say there's nothing wrong with him.
Right.
Look at him. He's very appropriate. He's social. He knows what to say. He knows the right thing to say and when to say
Exactly
it.
right.
But that
Right.
doesn't mean anything
Right.
when it really gets down to it.
And when some of us get together and talk, we always say they are not with this person 24/7.
That's right.
And it's very different.
Wow. So your friends were obviously a little bit in denial too.
Oh, yes.
And I think that's scary for our peers because if it happened to this friend, it could happen to this one or to us.
Right.
And
Right.
they probably were in shock. And as a sideline, I have a question. I'm probably skipping ahead a little bit, but I want to ask you, the friends that he first told that he had Alzheimer's when he made that toast, are they still friends with you?
Absolutely.
They are.
Close.
Very
A couple
good.
of them have passed away, but as close as could be.
That's very good.
Great support.
Wonderful. Because, a lot of people, as they're going through this journey with Alzheimer's and they have friends, a lot of the friends, because they don't understand and because they don't know what to do or they don't know how to handle it or they
Right.
don't know what to say, they go by the wayside and they
Absolutely.
drop off the grid as far as friendship is
Right,
concerned.
and I have heard other women tell me the same thing. So-and-so doesn't call us to go out to dinner anymore. And if we call them, oh, they have an excuse, they're busy. And they lose a lot of friends, which is heartbreaking, really.
Wow. So when we're going to take a short commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about Johnny's changes in his behavior, some of the difficulties that his wife had dealing with him at home. And we'll be right back, and stay with us.
Take a pen and jot down this information. Right from the Heart assists families in finding the right living arrangements for their aging parents. Founded in 2012 by Sharon Agate, Senior Lifestyle Consultant, Sharon has counseled seniors and their families for over 20 years in clinical settings and in independent assisted living and memory care communities. Finding the right community can be overwhelming and time-consuming. Right from the Heart takes the stress and worry from you. Sharon will meet with mom or dad and evaluate their needs and lifestyle preferences and create a personalized plan at no cost to you. She will accompany you to visit selected communities and guide you every step of the way so you can be assured you're making a well-informed decision. Call Sharon at 561-374-4696. Sharon's promise to you is in your knowing that her advice will always come right from the heart.
Hi, this is Marcia Teele of CareGiver Solutions Info. I'd like to tell you about Senior Home Companions. They provide care in the home for seniors by active seniors. The caregivers are mature men and women who understand the needs of seniors. Caregivers are individually matched to each client, creating a bond and a high level of comfort. A nurse registry, Senior Home Companions have been assisting seniors in Palm Beach County for 17 years. For a complimentary assessment, call Gloria at 561-347-6676 to see how a Senior Home Companion can help you.
Do you need the advice of an elder law attorney but perhaps find it difficult or overwhelming getting to appointments? The solution is the Elder Law Department. They bring elder law to you by meeting with you in the comfort of your own surroundings to discuss your personal situation and family needs. In practice since 1994, Heidi Friedman is a member of the Elder Law section of the Florida Bar. She and her team help families with issues that include incapacity and estate planning, asset preservation, veterans benefits, and other legal issues that seniors may face. Call the Elder Law Department at 954-383-1143. 954-383-1143. They bring elder law to you. You are listening to your host, Marcia Teele, an Alzheimer's disease and dementia care expert on CareGiverSolutions.info. If you have a question or wish to share a story, call into the show at 888-565-1470 and talk with Marcia. Now, back to CareGiver Solutions.
Hi, welcome back. Joining me in the studio today is Selma. She is a family caregiver. Welcome, Selma.
Hi.
Selma's husband, Johnny, that's not his real name, has Alzheimer's disease. Selma, when Johnny got diagnosed, how old was he?
About mid-70s.
Mid-70s. So when he got that report from the doctor, you said that he didn't seem too surprised about it.
Right.
Which meant that he knew something was wrong with him.
Right.
And did he go around saying something's wrong? I don't know what's wrong with me. I can't.
Not at that time. He was very complacent and went around his business. And after time, then he would start figuring, how come I can't do this? How come I can't remember that? And the computer was always a virus or whatever, and he's calling the man and all the time.
So did he get frustrated with things because he couldn't do certain things? Did it frustrate him?
Right, very frustrated. And his temper got worse and worse and would take it out on me. Started to call me names, which is something he never did before. Very argumentative. And when he would start doing that, I didn't know how to handle it. And friends told me, just get out of the house, which is what I did.
Really? You actually physically left?
Oh, yes. I went to a neighbor's house. a close neighbor, not just any neighbor, who also had an experience with a family member with Alzheimer's, and that's why I went there. They understood. And I would stay there about a half an hour, and then I would go home, and he would be fine. Didn't remember any of the outbursts or didn't ask me where I was, but just, okay, supper ready, that kind of a thing. But it got more and more like that, and I just couldn't take it. It was horrible to live through. He also had compulsive, I don't know if there's a difference between compulsive and obsessive, but I'm going to just say compulsive. He would start ordering things without telling me. Packages would arrive at the house. And if we were in a store, little things, he would keep buying. And I said, you have that in the house. No, I don't. I must have 35 or 40 combs
Oh, my.
that he bought, and all kinds of tools. I don't know if he really didn't remember or he just decided that he wanted it. But the behavior was very irrational. And the worst thing of all was we have always had dogs, and particularly collies, which were my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
And the last dog that we had before we moved to Florida was a little one, a Bichon. And I said to him, when we move, we are not taking the dog because it's not fair. We are both very active people. We're going to be active down there. You're going to take this little dog who we've had for 6 years and put her in a strange environment, no backyard or no porch for her to run around, nothing, and we're going to go off. That's not fair. So we found a very good home for her.
But it's always hard to give up a pet.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But he never forgave me for her.
Aw.
And friends down here have told me that he has told them when I was not around that he really never forgave me for that. Well, one day he says to me, I got to tell you something. And I said, what? He says, I ordered a dog.
He ordered a dog?
Yes, from Texas. And it's arriving this afternoon at West Palm Airport.
Oh, my goodness.
I says, what did you do? He says, well, don't worry. You love collies, so I got a toy collie, and you're going to love her.
Oh, my gosh.
So I didn't know what to do, but we had to go to the airport because the dog was coming. And
Did you believe him?
Yes.
You did?
Yes.
Okay.
Because he's telling me all this information, how he talked to the gal. And I thought it was a horrible thing to do and fly this dog from Texas to Florida. Anyway, when we went to the place where you pick up animals, a cage came in, and there is this most beautiful little toy collie sitting on her haunches, not the least bit aggravated. I said, oh, my God, her name is Lady, because she was such a lady. And we took her home, and she was adorable. She really was.
Oh.
But with all the dogs we have had, I never had trouble housebreaking a dog. This dog I could not housebreak. She was absolutely impossible. And he played with her and coochie-cooed her all day until about 7 o'clock. And then he says, I'm going into my study. He says, she's on you. Well, I didn't want any part of her. And as time went on, with the constant urination in the house, I had it. And my son said to me, because he also loves dogs and has had dogs, if you ever want to get rid of her, you send her to me. I will take her. I said, did you talk about this with your wife? And he says, yes, it's fine. Send us the dog. So I just told Johnny, that's it. It's me or the dog.
Okay.
And he started to laugh. He said, well, you know who's going to win that one? You know,
I'm afraid to ask.
the dog is going to win, but he was kidding. So, all right, so we took the dog and we sent her back up. My daughter-in-law, who has broken all the dogs that they have, could not do this with that dog.
Aw.
So they found on their street a woman who will take any dog for any reason. So the dog was placed in a good home. But that shows you, I mean, how he could possibly do that.
I mean, it's one thing to go and buy extra combs or an extra hammer,
Right.
but to go and actually order a dog
Right.
and tell you about it at the last minute.
That's
I mean, that's
right.
not something that you just do.
No,
It's sort
completely irrational.
Right. Wow.
So that was one of the big points. But thank God he agreed to get rid of the dog.
Was there, when you talk about him being angry, I mean,
Yeah.
he would get frustrated with the computer and then he would
Right.
get angry at it. Were there certain things that triggered his anger?
Some things I never figured out what triggered. One minute he would be fine, the next minute he's yelling, cursing, which is not his nature at all.
So he lost that filter
Oh,
because
yeah.
normally he wouldn't have
Never.
have come out with
No,
bad
and never
language.
yell at me. I mean, may disagree with me, but never just
So that
yelling
wasn't his
and-
normal personality.
No,
So he had a
no.
major change in personality.
Absolutely.
And how did you
Absolutely.
handle that day by day? I mean, you can't leave and go to a neighbor's every time something happened.
I
How
would
did,
go to the parking lot of our clubhouse, and I would hang out there for half an hour.
did he ever leave the house himself?
No.
Okay,
No.
so he didn't go out and he wasn't a wanderer
No.
as far as
That
leaving.
was one thing I was concerned about, but he never, ever did that.
And were you able to engage your friends to help diffuse him, or your family, or was it mostly you the one that had to deal with the brunt of it?
I had to do it all. I didn't want to involve neighbors or friends because he may get upset with them. I don't know. And I didn't want them to actually see what was going on.
Did it embarrass you if you
Very
thought
much,
that
very much so.
you
very
were
much.
embarrassed for your friends to see his
Absolutely.
behavior?
Well, I would be embarrassed that they would see him like that, but that's not who he was. Mm-hmm. So it was just a tremendous change. And that's when I started thinking I need time for myself.
Well, did you try daycare? Like these adult daycare centers?
He is very good on the keyboard. He loves to play that. And I had a singing group, and we were going to go to places like daycare places to sing. So I figured I would sneak it around him, and I said, why don't you come and you can play the keyboard?
Good idea.
You know, and people would enjoy listening. No. No matter what I broached with him, it was always no.
So he became
And
very negative.
Yeah, and I don't know if it was because I was suggesting it or just the idea in general. And when I talked to him about going to a place, I never called it a daycare place, about going someplace where fellas hang out and they talk, and maybe he doesn't play cards, but maybe they would have discussion groups or whatever. No. Everything was no.
And in the past, he was always ready to go. He
Yes,
liked being
yes.
social, wanted to go and meet with friends.
Absolutely.
So earlier in the show, I talked about the 10 warning signs.
Right.
And you probably picked up on many of those that apply to Johnny.
Right.
That
Right.
you saw
Right.
as time went on.
Right.
One of them not wanting to go into social situations, being more withdrawn, being not motivated.
Right.
A lot of these things, the memory loss, the misplacing things. You told me that one time, what was it? You were cleaning out a drawer of his and you found things in the most unusual places.
Well, that happened a lot. I don't remember specifically what.
I think it was the
meant to
hot
do.
dog cooker or something.
Yeah, that was in the file cabinet.
So he had a hot dog cooker in the
Right.
file cabinet.
Right.
And when you found that, you just, shook your head? And
Yeah, I took it out. I stuck it someplace, wherever.
So was that normal for him to put things where they don't normally
not
go?
usually, no. He was very, very organized. That's part of his background, his training. Very, very organized. Everything was in a specific spot. I'm the same way. Mm-hmm. And so our home was always everything. We knew where everything was. You wanted something, you went to the place where it was, and there it was.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, it wasn't there.
Wasn't there, and you're running around trying to find
Right.
it, and while you're
Right.
trying to find one thing, you find 50 of something
Right.
else that you didn't even
Right.
know that you had.
Right.
And that must have been very, very frustrating for you.
It was, and the garage too. He had tools. My God, we must have 40 screwdrivers and all kinds of paint brushes, and it's just loaded.
Well, maybe he was going to start a new business, become a handyman or something, right? So it got to the point where this must have been wearing on you. How
Very.
did you feel throughout this, and how did it affect you personally?
I was in getting worse and worse health. I did not get enough rest. Many times he would fall asleep at 7 o'clock in the evening. And 11 or 12 o'clock, when I'm getting ready to go to bed, he wakes up. And I need to care for him, or sometimes a matter of hygiene, or a matter of he wants to do something, whatever. And I got very little sleep, very little sleep.
So he gets his rest. He
Absolutely.
gets up in the middle of the night ready to go.
Right.
And now you're not sleeping.
And I'm exhausted.
You're worse for it. You're exhausted.
I lost quite a bit of weight. People were yelling at me, yelling at me to put on weight and take care of myself, but can't do that when you're living under those, conditions.
Right.
I finally decided I have to do something.
So what did you do?
And I had heard about the caregivers groups, and I contacted one which worked out very well, and I got an aide to come into the house, but only, I should have done it much earlier and for much longer. Only the day that I went to the caregivers group did I have an aide. Otherwise, 6 days of the week, I was full-time with him.
So looking back, in hindsight, you would have done it a lot
Much
sooner
earlier.
and have the aid for many more hours or days.
And more days, absolutely. It was a big mistake. I tried to be, people have told me you try to be the perfect mother, the perfect wife, all this kind of thing. And I was trying to be the perfect caregiver, but you can't. And we all say now the caregiver group, the caregiver is the most important one, because if you can't take care of yourself, how are you going to take care of the patient?
That's absolutely right.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
We're going to take our last commercial break, and when we come back, Selma's going to talk about what she finally had to do to save herself and to save her husband, and you'll not want to miss this. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Take a pen and jot down this information. Right from the Heart assists families in finding the right living arrangements for their aging parents. Founded in 2012 by Sharon Agate, Senior Lifestyle Consultant, Sharon has counseled seniors and their families for over 20 years in clinical settings and in independent assisted living and memory care communities. Finding the right community can be overwhelming and time-consuming. Right from the Heart takes the stress and worry from you. Sharon will meet with mom or dad and evaluate their needs and lifestyle preferences and create a personalized plan at no cost to you. She will accompany you to visit selected communities and guide you every step of the way so you can be assured you're making a well-informed decision. Call Sharon at 561-374-4696. Sharon's promise to you is in your knowing that her advice will always come right from the heart. Do you need the advice of an elder law attorney but perhaps find it difficult or overwhelming getting to appointments? The solution is the Elder Law Department. They bring elder law to you by meeting with you in the comfort of your own surroundings to discuss your personal situation and family needs. In practice since 1994, Heidi Friedman is a member of the Elder Law section of the Florida Bar. She and her team help families with issues that include incapacity and estate planning, asset preservation, veterans benefits, and other legal issues that seniors may face. Call the Elder Law Department at 954-383-1143. 954-383-1143. They bring elder law to you. Make First Choice your first choice for home health care. First Choice is state certified for Medicare covered services such as medical treatment and rehabilitation. Qualified healthcare professionals come to your home and work closely with your doctor to build a care plan designed to get you back on your feet as soon as possible. Founded and operated by registered nurses, First Choice Home Health is dedicated to providing exceptional home health care. Their highly skilled medical professionals have the knowledge and ability to provide patients quality care. Call First Choice Home Health at 561-296-2770. That's 561-296-2770. And tell them you want them as your first choice. Arden Courts is not just a place to live. It's a place to call home. Residential living combined with quality caregiving. This is the philosophy behind Arden Courts. Communities created exclusively for individuals with Alzheimer's disease and related dementia who would benefit from a safe and structured environment. For additional information about any of the unique services Arden Courts provides, call 888-478-2410 to locate a community nearest you. Inquire about our educational seminars, resource library, or support groups, or simply feel free to ask questions you may have about Alzheimer's and related dementias. At Arden Courts, we know, we understand, and we can help because memory care is all we do. Remember, call 888-478-2410 for additional information about any of the unique services Arden Courts provides. You are listening to your host, Marcia Teele, an Alzheimer's disease and dementia care expert on CareGiverSolutions.info. If you have a question or wish to share a story, call into the show at 888-565-1470 and talk with Marcia. Now, back to CareGiver Solutions.
Hi, welcome back. We're talking with Selma. Selma is a wife and caregiver for her husband, Johnny, not his real name. And thank you, Selma, for sharing so far your story. I'm curious now, what was the tipping point when you realized that you just couldn't do this anymore by yourself at home?
He had been getting steadily worse, confused. And my health was deteriorating, and I have a lot of problems with my legs walking. So we were sitting on the sofa one evening, and he wanted something, and I just could not get up. And I said to him, go into the kitchen, you can get it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he was very insistent that I do it. And I said, I cannot. Go into the kitchen over there. And he got up, and I can see as he's walking, he doesn't know where the kitchen is. He's just going from one wall to another. And so I directed him so that he could find the kitchen. I says, go ahead, it's in the refrigerator. And he's looking around the four walls, and I knew that he didn't know where the refrigerator was or what a refrigerator was.
He didn't understand that.
No.
He lost that concept.
Yeah,
So,
and that just absolutely broke my heart. And I knew I had to place him. The neurologist recommended Arden Court. I had from social services a list of places that were available. A lot of them I ruled out because they were too far away. I had to be able to go see him every day if I wanted, but close enough. And my kids came down, and they went to inspect the ones that I had on the list, or maybe 4 places, something like that. And it was decided that Arden Court was the best. One reason was the ratio of women to men, and the other one was that the philosophy is to get the patients out of the rooms and to be active.
yes.
There is a schedule every single day from the morning until bedtime. They don't have to go to these things, but if they want to and they're encouraged to, there is something for everybody to do. And
Keep
it's a
them busy,
mixture.
keep them occupied, keep them stimulated,
And
encourage
social.
them, and
Right.
social, and
Right.
men. He had plenty of men to do that. So
Yeah.
the day came when everything was in order, and the day came that Johnny was coming to Arden Courts.
Right.
The move-in day.
Right, and we
And-
had left the neurologist's office, and I don't know if I showed some nervousness in my system, whatever, but he had said the day before he wants to get a new electric razor. He has 2 of them at home. I says, okay, we'll get one. So on the way from the neurologist's office to Arden Court, he starts yelling, there's a CVS, Walgreens, whatever. We have to go get the electric razor. I said, we'll get it tomorrow. He says, no, and there's that no again. We have to get it now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I pulled in, and quickly I made him buy one national brand advertised electric razor. We got in the car. We are maybe 2 minutes away from Arden Court at that point. And I don't know if he sensed a change in me, whatever, but when we got to the parking lot, I got out of the car, and he locked the doors.
He locked himself in.
Yes, he is not going to get out.
But wasn't the story that you told him the reason he was coming because he was supposed to be coming to rehab? That was the story to get him to come.
He saw the prescription that the doctor wrote, and he knew he needed physical therapy because his muscles were deteriorating, atrophied. He knew that.
Mm-hmm.
Our daughter had talked to him about it also.
But he was going to be stubborn and not going to come in.
And I don't know if he sensed a change in me because I was concerned about getting him in there, but he locked the door. So I went into you for help.
Well, that's where my part of the story comes in. I'll never forget this. I was worried about you. It was an hour that you were late before the scheduled time, and I was worried. I called your cell phone. You didn't answer. I'm like, oh my gosh, what happened? I hope they're okay. And then all of a sudden you came in the front door and you said, help. Johnny's in the car. He's locked himself in. He won't come out. I don't know what to do. And if I have to spend another day at home with him, I think I'll kill myself. And I'm like, no, don't do that. I mean, that's how upset you were.
Absolutely.
I don't know if you remember, what you said, but you were very distraught, obviously very upset.
Oh, yeah.
You had really gotten to your wit's end and to your breaking point. So I said, okay, let's go out. And I went outside and you followed me, and he had the doors locked, and I asked him to unlock the door, and he thought for a minute, but he did, and he opened the door, and I said, hi, Johnny. I said, welcome to the rehab. He said, I'm not going. I said, well, he said, my wife never told me we were going. And I said, well, the doctor wants you to come and work on your knee and you'll feel better. No, I'm not doing that. Now, a lot of times they'll listen to what the doctor says. And I said, well, if you don't come into rehab, the doctor might put you in the hospital. I don't care. I'm not coming. And so I thought, boy, oh boy, what are we going to do here? And you were right there, and he started yelling at you. You never told me. And of course, you're kind of yelling back at him. Yes, I did. And it was going back and forth. And so finally, I asked you to step away from the car so he couldn't see you. And I kind of hunkered down, eye to eyeball with him. And the story goes, within 3 minutes, I had him out of the car. And it took some doing, but because we're the professionals and dealing with the behaviors of Alzheimer's, knowing what to say, how to get him to do what I needed him to do and what you wanted him to do, he did come out of the car. He came with me, and you stayed away, and I walked him into the building, and I made a beeline straight into the back. And
You said that your husband does that to you.
oh, yes, that's right. Because one of the things we do, we want to validate them and not make them feel like they're wrong. And so he said, my wife never told me, and she said she did. And I looked him right in the eye, and I said, Johnny, I said, I know exactly how you feel. My husband does the same thing to me. And when he says that, I just get so mad. So now he's smiling, and he's identified with me, and now we're kind of like on a team together because he knows that I know how he feels. So we got in the back, and I knew he liked to play piano, and I took him right into the activity room, and I said, wow, look, we have a piano. And he sat right down. So he did come in, and he's doing great.
Right.
So I want to thank everybody for joining us for CareGiver Solutions. I want to thank you, Selma, for being here and telling your story.
You're very
People
welcome.
know they're not alone. And call us at Arden Courts if you have any questions. We can help you. I hope you tune in next week. And don't forget, give somebody a hug.
Thanks for joining us for this week's CareGiver Solutions with Marcia Teele. Join us next week as Marcia, who has 15 years of Alzheimer's disease and dementia care experience, brings you more needed information to help with the care of your loved one. This show can be seen again on caregiversolutions.info, and questions can be left on the site, which may be used on the program to help others. See you next week for more CareGiver Solutions. The opinions expressed on the preceding sponsored program were strictly those of its hosts, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors.